Hi everyone, and welcome back to Debbie's Sacred Space. And today's video is going to be a little bit different because I have had a rough time over the last week, with the Lionsgate portal being now on the 8th, which is the 12th today here in Australia, 12th of August 2026. And it's been a rough one for me, which is, I wouldn't say that these things don't normally affect me, but I think being an empath, being so super sensitive and doing my own healing at the same time, seems like I'm really picking up on the collective as well, which is not something I like to do, but sometimes I can't help it. When everything's shifting and the planets are shifting and I have my own stuff going on, it seems to amplify when the collective is like it is now. So this morning I was just in a really, I've been there before, in a low place still of just my health, the thyroid condition that I have. I'm doing lots of things to help myself, but even food and that is becoming an issue at the moment because my digestion through Chinese herbs has just gone a bit everywhere. Anyway, I've just been having a time lately. And so I went out the front to do some EFT tapping. So I was crying and tapping and just about how I feel, which was probably defeated. I've talked about that a bit at the moment being on here because the AI and the chance of getting my voice out there and my songs out there now with AI, and even my books that I have started one of them and have two more in the pipeline of my journey and my songs and things like that. And when you're already on the back burner after 46 years of massive entity involvement, it feels like a task, and I don't want it to feel like a task. I want this to be as natural and normal as I can. And so I just sort of had a moment of, first of all, saying to myself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if, you are not seen and heard in the capacity that you hoped for. You are still doing a massive job here for humanity. So all of these things were just coming up, and I went outside to do this tapping, and I was tapping on that issue of just feeling defeated and just feeling like, am I ever going to have the energy that's required to live here? And just being an empath, having the darkness, entity interference my whole life, finally sorting that out, having the ability to deal with it myself now, the training, and now just that it's just hit me that all the manifestation I was trying to do didn't work because of that interference, and now I have to just almost like start again. That's what it felt like. So I felt very disconnected from spirit in a way. And what came through today was the animal realms, the insect kingdom actually. And trees and animals are probably my guides, to be honest with you. And it was interesting because I was watching a part of a video today, a card reading video, because I do that when I'm a bit down, and it was literally about there's a guide that's trying to to help you. So I went outside and I was doing my tapping, and I did my tapping, and I felt you do feel a shift after. And then I thought I'll just do a bit of cogno movement. And I actually went out and recorded out in our front garden exactly what happened. So I'm going to let that video explain it. So I'll insert that video here. But it was amazing. And it, as much as I still don't feel great, like as in my head and that, it gave me a shift. It gave me some recognition from the realm that I love the most and I see as the most real here, the most real spiritual realm I connect to is the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. nature. And by gosh, did it remind me today of the fact that they're here to guide me. So keep watching. Okay, just outside today, because in my last video I was telling you about how I had not a good day a few days through the Lionsgate portal. So I was out here doing some tapping because it's sort of continued to be a bit of a down time for me. And I was doing EFT tapping on the situation, and then I started doing a cogno movement, just a basic cogno movement where you have to look at your hand just to finish it off. And I had a butterfly come and land on my arm here. And then as I was doing the other side, a bee came and landed on my arm. And people would probably think that's BS. I'm going to quickly show you the proof of the butterfly and the bees that are out here. So I'm just going to flip my screen as I go around. Okay, as you can see, there are bees doing their bee stuff. And there's a butterfly, that's the white one that landed on me, like that one. And there, can't really see the bees myself. Hopefully I'm getting, yeah, there he is. There's lots of them. But they're on our lavender out the front of our house. And one of them landed on me. Like, how freaky is that? There's that pond. This is Oliver that I talk about with his stick. Say hello to everybody, Oliver. No, he doesn't want to talk to you today. That was funny. Okay, so yeah, pretty freaky stuff. And I'll talk about it more when I go inside and actually shoot this video. So stay tuned. So how cool was that? So I'm back inside, obviously, back in my sacred space, and I'm wondering what's more sacred, this or that. And Oliver not saying hello to anybody, Ollie not saying hello to anybody. I thought that was quite funny. Dogs, hey, he's just acting like a cat there. So funny, our dogs have always been the last few that we've had, except for Lily, our little Bichon. When the camera comes out, they like to look away sometimes. It's funny as they just know. So one of the things that you don't know about me is I love oracle cards. And I have way too many decks, and it was a way of healing and getting guidance for me when everything was cut off. And I mean everything. And I'll go more into that later. But so as I always do, I either Google search it, or I get my cards out, because I have I think about 4 or 5 animal decks. And today I chose this one for the bee. No, this one was the butterfly. So I'll do the butterfly first. So this is the deck here. And it's beautiful. Like, the art in it is amazing. And so I looked up butterfly. And I'll just read it out to you. The meaning, I'll just show you the card while I'm doing it as well. Because, I mean, this one isn't the best card in the deck, but some of them are amazing. We do have these type of butterflies around our place. But today it was a white butterfly. So I'll continue. So the butterfly is grace, playfulness, personal transformation, cycles, and soul. And of course, to me, the butterfly, as it would to most people, would represent the cocoon and the coming out and, being, free, I guess, being able to fly. And so this says, it's time to lighten up, express your colours and embrace your soul. Butterfly comes to encourage more play and laughter in your life. It flutters in to remove heavy tensions, which will help you to gain a new perspective on conflicts that are not being resolved. And considering what I was talking about when I was doing it was, as I was doing the cogno movement and it came and landed on my arm, I was actually saying that I do have connection, and it's safe to connect to the spiritual realms, because I've had so much darkness. I think there was an inner fear of connecting to anything spiritual, like outside of myself. Nature's the thing that I do trust, and I do know that there are good light beings, but I guess it's my ability now to learn to trust them, that make sure that I'm getting them, which I know that I can ask, because an entity has to reveal itself. So if you ask, is there dark interference, entity interference, there has to be a yes answer, either muscle testing, I do both, and I do pendulum. And so, I've just got to become discerning of what's coming in for me. So I do have a lot of trust issues, and a life full of entity interference, and a life full of different traumas and narcissistic people. It's going to happen. People would, like I said in the other video, are you spiritual enough yet? Oh my God, are you going through all that? Like, we're all here to shift and change, and it doesn't matter how much of a light being we are, because we have had all of this stuff put on us, and light workers, empaths particularly, have gone through the ringer, and even though I know that I'm from somewhere of a very high vibration, it's trusting again that I'm connecting to that higher vibration. So it says, when you see a butterfly or have one land on you, personal transformations are taking place. Call on butterfly wisdom to help you through this transition. They are masters of moving from one lifestyle to another by metamorphosis. Which is what I was just stopping there, because I sort of lost my place a bit, because that's really what I'm doing. Over this next year or so, I'm definitely moving from one lifestyle to another. Like, I've had interference my whole life. I've learned how to remove that interference, dark entity interference, and even the way they work through people. And now I'm moving into a different lifestyle. And I said to my husband and my youngest daughter and my eldest one, we've all been talking about it, how we are almost like trauma bonded to this house and this place, and kind of to each other in a way, because we went through so much and there was no understanding from anybody at all. And so we were very alone in that. And so leaving this will be hard, but it's also necessary. And everybody going their different directions will also be hard, but necessary. So this is just, the butterfly is like telling me, that, from one lifestyle to another by metamorphosis, literally. And I'm going through it. I'm not going to sit here and spiritually be like, as if I know everything and it's all done, because it's not. And as much as I do know a lot, we're all still learning, and we're all still shifting. And for me, it's been a long journey, and I'm shifting into the greater part of my life. And there's a lot to, even though I've done a lot of healing, a lot of that was also compromised. And so there's still a lot to let go of. There's a lot to let go of. So it says, the most recognizable trait of the butterfly is its beautiful colors. Well, the one that landed on me was white, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Butterfly reminds you to shine your inner beauty and show your colors off to the world. Butterflies are also symbolic of loved ones who have crossed over. That's also very relevant, because when our dog Buddha died of cancer, he was 6.5 years old, and for months after, we had butterflies that were very similar in color to him, and they were sort of like, I think they're like the monarch butterfly type thing, and he was a staffy who had stripes on him, and these had sort of like the stripy kind of patterns on them, and we always called them Buddha flies because his name was Buddha. And they were everywhere. They would be everywhere. They would be down the beach if we went down the beach. They would be on our front door. They would be in our garden, and they were everywhere. And for months after he died, and even when my daughter was having trouble with her L's and she was going through some stuff, my oldest daughter, and she wasn't focusing on doing the test, and my husband and I were sitting in the window at the motor registration place, and a Buddha fly came up to the window, and I went over and I said to her, like, pull yourself together and just focus, because you can do this. And I said, just for the moment, let go of what's happening. And I said, and by the way, Buddha's here. He just came to the window and he was fluttering around like for ages. And I said, I wanted to let you know. And so she got this calm over, and she went over and did her test and passed it. And so it meant a lot to us, because that's was the reference to it all the time, Buddha flies. And now the white one is a very representative of Lily, a little white Bichon who passed away. And for that to land on me had many meanings of the transformation, but I think it's definitely coming from her, because there was a lot of them around after she passed. So anyway, so the loved one thing is relevant as well. They come to comfort you and let you know that even though loved ones may no longer be physically here, their soul lives on in multiple dimensions. So the call of the butterfly energy is call on butterfly energy during personal transformation to lighten stressful areas in your life, to connect to your inner self. So obviously this one says that it's to do with the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra, and they're the two chakras that I've literally been having trouble with my periods, which have only just finished, and I did a video on the womb healing, and my solar plexus, which is where I clear from. I clear energy from there and I burp, and I have the dark and the light coming down into my chakra, because I can transmute dark energy. So that's why I was such a target from the darkness. So the mantra for this is, I embrace transformation for my highest good. I allow my inner wisdom and beauty to shine. And that's what I'm doing here. So that was just the butterfly in general from that card deck. And then this was the white butterfly meaning from Google. And it was purity, spiritual transformation, peace and hope. Across many cultures and traditions, seeing a white butterfly frequently interprets as a gentle omen, a sign of inner renewal and comforting visit from the soul of a departed loved one. So on that aspect, I was very, to have that happen to me today while I was going through so much. I've sat out there so many times, and I've had butterflies land on me probably five or six times. And for the coincidence for a butterfly to land and then a bee to land on the other side when I was doing this one, like I said, people would sit there and go BS, but it's not. And unfortunately, I said to my husband when he walked out, I'm like, you never believe what just happened, because he saw I was doing tapping, so he didn't come out. And I sort of thought, sometimes you just wish you had the camera to catch that, so that people could see that it's true. And the little bee, he was just walking up my arm, and I had just the shirt underneath here on, so it wasn't very thick, and I thought, I really don't want you to sting me. And I don't think he would have, but yeah, he was just walking up my arm, and he was going to go under my t-shirt that I had on, so I just blew on him, and he went and landed on my other jumper, and he was going to walk up inside of it, and I was like, no. So I just sort of flicked it, just sort of moved it a little bit, and he flew off, and I said, thank you for coming, thank you for showing me. So I just also wanted to read about the spirit of the bee. So this is I call it Baron Reed. This is my other book, and there is a bee in this one here, but it's a blue banded bee. You can see here that we have in Australia. I don't know, and that's a beautiful picture, and they're relevant with Charlie, and when I get to his videos I'll explain why. But for this one here, this is the bee, and the main message is sweet results await. I'll just show you the card because they're also quite pretty. And then the honeycomb in the background, which fits the Star of David inside. So honey and bees are a big thing, and I my name means Debbie, like my name is Debbie, and it means the bee. So Deborah means the bee in Hebrew, I think it is, and so that's why I've called myself Deb Bee, because I have a big affinity with bees. The dark and the light, the gold of spirit and the darkness, and I am in both of those realms. I've had to learn to be in both of those realms, more so the darkness while I've been here on earth, and I'm learning how to be in the light now, now that reign of darkness is over. So, and also to make the golden honey, like to make the golden honey of wonderful experiences and sweetness of life while I'm here now. That's my next chapter, and letting go of everything that's been in opposition to that is proving to be difficult at this time, because I'm very, very tired, and it's just been a time through this Lionsgate portal. I'm still healing because I'm about to burp. So the bee spirit's message is that sweet rewards are on their way if you are willing to get your ego out of the way and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. Bee spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey, miracles and magic everywhere, and it's quite ironic that I was saying as I was doing this, it is safe to connect to spirit. It is safe to connect to divine consciousness of my guides, of my angels, of the creator, because there is something in me after this journey that is afraid of connection to anything that I don't know or can't remember, and trusting, because when you go through so much entity interference and you think that you're connecting to light and you find out that it's darkness, it takes everything out of you. It takes everything out of you, and you have to then start again, which is what I'm doing now to gain that trust back. And the thing that keeps me going is knowing that in here I had that spark, that I was able to keep going through all of that, and that there was help from the creator, from the light side, I guess you'd say, because as I said in another video, Tracy said to me, and I'll put Tracy's book up again for those who haven't seen any of my other videos, but and she said to me, you think that you weren't helped and that you weren't heard, and she said, but you were, because you're meant to be dead. The darkness wanted you out of here. So now I have to continue to keep excavating so that light can just become brighter and brighter, and just being me, just doing things like this, just sharing things like this. Like nature has so much to share, so much to give. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in exquisite harmony with all. Bee Spirit asks that you focus on connectivity. Your body, heart and soul and psyche experience total interconnectedness and true integration when you self-forget, when you remember that you're a part of a greater unified consciousness. And I guess that's what I'm looking for, is that, like, I do know that on a level, of course I do. I've been on this journey long enough, but it's actually living it. It's being it. That's the tricky part. Moving away from separation into connection, from self-centered limitation into spiritual-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become as busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. And I just got to say something about that, because I was very interconnected, but in the wrong matrix, the wrong, what does she call it? No, she's got it here. Into separation, into connection. I was connected in the, like I say, people don't like wrong or right. There's so many freaking rules with this shit. I was connected into the wrong realm, I guess you'd say. I was connected to this 3D realm, the matrix and everything, and not in that way of ego. I mean in the fact that there was so much darkness that was trying to stop me, that my connections to true divine source were just being infiltrated at every turn, because I know I've been told by so many people, you were such a lovely little girl, and even just little girl, I was just not just because I got brought up by a narcissist, but I'm not the kind of person who causes trouble anyway. Like I have a rebellious streak in me. I don't like to be controlled, and that's why I was the one who stood up to my dad so often. And the amount of the amount of times I've walked away from a narcissist after an argument and just never gone back. I'm not somebody who sits there and goes, yes, okay. That's what people see empaths as, just yes people all the time. And in a certain way we can be, because we don't want to be disagreeable, partly because of sometimes childhood trauma and being brought up by a narcissist, but also it's because it's our nature. It's our nature to be in that oneness. So what I'm saying here is sometimes the oneness that we're in can be very toxic. That's what I want to say. Figure that one out for yourself. Because we are programmed by these ideas in these books and everything. And as much as they are true to a level, when you go through entity interference from before birth, it can be very hard to then, once you realize what the world really is, and realizing that it actually is a sovereign journey, as much as we are part of a whole, we have to focus on our journey and what we are here to do. Because if you keep putting your energy and attention out there, you'll never get to your truth, and you'll never really help the collective either. And there are some people here, I believe, who are there to help the collective in a way of going out and actually helping. But many light workers and empaths and that's not necessarily that path for them, especially empaths who get drowned in it until they understand who they are, until they understand the darkness. And this is the journey I'm on. I think that's just it. I'm on that journey. I'm not somebody spiritual. I see so many of them sitting here telling people what to do all the time, like they got it all figured out, and maybe they do. Maybe things are working well in their world. But in what way? That's what I want to know. Their connections and things like that. But anyway, I'm going to be truthful to where I am, because that's all I can be. So, I'm busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. So fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself, your heart opens and creativity rushes through you, seemingly without effort, as you experience that nothing feels like work. That'll be good. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realms, adding their energy to your creations? Isn't that funny? And what I was talking about at the time, it is safe to connect, to other, like consciousness, like higher consciousness, higher beings, light beings. Magical results are taking form and will be sweeter than you expected. Bee wants you to remember that your part in the divine partnership with the conscious universe is being rewarded, even if you can't see that yet, and asks you to share that good fortune, as there is plenty of honey for all. Be a part of the larger whole, the force that brings forth all that is sweet and delightful. So that was the basic message, and then there is a protection message, which of course is the darker side of everything. When I say darker, things you have to look at within yourself more in a different way. When Bee Spirit comes as your protector, she asks you to be very honest with yourself. Do you want to taste the sweet honey of others? Do you want to taste the sweet honey others have been making, but you believe it is unattainable for you? Well, that's very relevant to this YouTube channel, my books, everything I want to do, my music. I just expressed at the start of this video that I'm finding that difficult. I'm thinking with AI and all the voices out there, how do I get my message across? Because I do have a massive journey, and I documented it all through song, which I will now be reading as poem until I'm ready to sing them. You don't write 112 songs to keep them to yourself. Not that I did it to put it out there ever, because when I started singing it was just for me and my healing. But then I realized that I'm meant to share it. So yeah, I think that's a big thing for me is sharing what I know. And it is gold. It is nectar. It is good for everybody. What I'm sharing is good for everybody, because it's definitely been hard earned, and it's definitely been not just looking at what people tell me. Like I said in another video, whether it's books or videos or anything, whatever, it's me deciding who I am within that framework. Because, as I say, yes, we are part of a whole, but if we drown in that, if we fall down that hole, no, I mean the hole as in, the bigger web of life, we are part of that. And I think that when we find who we are ourselves, we can be in that in a different way. But while we're unconsciously being in that, all entities are involved, yeah, it's not the same. You've got to find your way through all that. So, do you separate from the hive to do it all on your own, or to hoard what honey you have, unwilling to trust that there will be plenty of support and plenty of sweetness to go around? Well, I've separated from the hive a lot, but I think it was also necessary for a while, and this is the transition I'm making over the next year or so to go back into it, but in a very different way. We'll be traveling around, we will be seeing different things, experiencing different people. I don't ever want to go back into it like I was, which was like connected to certain spiritual groups, to certain people, because for me as an empath, that's dangerous to get into a group or mindset that doesn't change much. And what happened was I kept changing, and others didn't necessarily keep changing, and then you grow away, and then all of a sudden I'm in a place now where there's nobody to connect to that has been through the darkness, understood the darkness, and is healing from the darkness. Most people are in it still, and some people don't even see it. Darkness that runs this planet basically, but also their own. So yeah, that is a big thing for me. I have it's time to move on in our life, and it's just going to take a bit of cleaning up here. I will show you a video of what was meant to be my healing room that I tried to set up several times. I did talk in another video about when I was going to do an animal healing room, and I had done the council approval and everything, and the year that I had a big I cut my parents out of my life for 9 months, and that upset a lot of entity involvement, because, as I will explain in another video, entities control narcissists, and if I ever stood up for myself and made a stand into moving into my light, it was cut. And it happened over and over, and the people who know me know how difficult that was. But yeah, I did that, and then my dog Buddha died, who I just said about butterflies, and then that's when things really got bad, because I was really trying to step into my light. But this behind me, behind this curtain and this hanging, is a mess of spiritual stuff, an absolute effing mess of all of the things that I was trying to do to step into who I knew I was. And I will share that with you, and it's embarrassing, but it's also necessary, because it just shows that every time and I tried to clean it up, I'd get, like, I had a friend who helped me at one stage, and we cleaned like half of it, and then more stuff would happen, and I was back to, trying to set something up and also have to deal with the repercussions of darkness, which is always, it's always a lot. And I already had a lower energy because I was just being attacked all the time. So I was trying to live these two worlds. My daughter would go 6'7" right here. I was trying to, I don't even know what that's about. That's so, yeah, anyway, it's a whole other thing. But I was trying to live in these two worlds, and yeah, it didn't turn out very well for my body, for me. You know, when you know that you've got a mission here and you can't fulfill it because of darkness, there's a lot. There's a lot in that. There's a lot that I have to still, I guess, come to terms with and be okay with, because the things that were taken away from me on this journey, that I did things differently because of who I am and what I believed in. And even that was difficult. When I decided, by the time my kids were five or six, I'm not going to vaccinate them anymore. Wow, in a town like this, wow. Oh, you're so fucking backwards. You don't care, bad person. And then I homeschooled. Oh my God. You freak. You know, I've dealt with small-mindedness in this town for, how long have we been here? 26 years, because 2000 we moved here. And it's time to move on. It's time to see that it's not just this small-minded place that I live in. That there's other places and there's other people. And I can't wait to broaden that horizon, because I really, at the moment, probably don't have the best views about people and the world. And I know that there's, you know, that's because there is getting more, you know, emotional immaturity and more darkness. People are becoming darker and more self-centered, not in a good way. It's not self-love, it's selfish that people are becoming. And so it would be great to go out there and just live my life kind of in amongst the people, but varying and shifting and changing, and just maybe even just putting my energy in different places, you know, and doing this the whole time, showing you bits of Australia eventually. Hold your horses on that, because it's going to be like a year or so. But yeah, anyway, I don't know where I got to. There's plenty of sweetness to go around, I think. If you have been overworked and overdoing, which I don't overwork myself much, I probably have overhealed a lot, because when you heal, when there's entity interference, unless you heal the entity interference, you're basically not healing much. You're just, when I say not healing much, if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be here. But the point is that they just kept attaching to any trauma, any drama. You got a dog with seizures, you got a dog with IBD who just poos blood. You have like a teenage daughter who's going through stuff and bringing stuff home and just, you know, drinking, and it builds, it does, and darkness gets in anyway it can, and to derail a light worker, starseed empath. So if you've been overworked, overworking and overdoing, and you're not giving yourself the time to enjoy the sweetness of your life, Bee Spirit is telling you to stop and recharge. Perhaps you're afraid that if you don't get something done, it won't get done. However, even busy bees need to take a break, and when they do, the honey still gets made. So remind yourself that sweetness is everywhere and available to you, to you always when you need it. And you know, I think, yeah, as I said about the place we live and what I've been through, and it's just time for a change for us. So get my health back on top, and then we will move. We'll be free. So we'll travel and be free of even just all the bills and the things, and just, you know, I don't mind my bill being a bit of petrol, just to move around and have a look. Be free again. I can't wait to be free. And as much as there's parts about this place that I will miss, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good life change. So after 26 years in the same place, looking forward to it. But this transition is not easy. So So the bee spirit and the butterfly spirit came to me today to help me and hopefully help you. And yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have a little bee walking on me. And because as much as they've flown around me before, I've had them land on my coffee cup. Oh, I don't drink coffee. I say coffee cup, and I don't even drink coffee on my hot drink cup. But I've never had them actually land on me, because most of the time I'm sort of like, oh no, because I don't want to get stung. And then today I was just like, I'm doing my thing, and I'm kind of like, oh, you're there on me. So, I just went with it, We've got another thing, oh, they're going to always bite, they're going to sting us. And it's like, why? So I let him be. Him, her, him. I think other bees other than queen are males. We have hives here as well that we just house here for the organic farm down the road. And so, which I wanted to, I sort of wanted to get into beehives ourselves, but yeah, I've got other things to do, and I've got healing. I've just got to rest and look after myself, make these videos, just do something to be able to get my voice out there, help my thyroid heal, help you guys. Gosh, I go on sometimes. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and just expressing through my journey that it's okay to feel all of these ways, and that nature is one of the biggest ways that you can get guidance. And for me it is, if you're an animal lover, look to nature, and there's always messages out there, and we've had them through animals passing, through all sorts of stuff. So look to nature, because it really is one of the things that we have left of this world that has not been effed with. Kind of. I mean, there's a lot of, in nature. I mean, at the moment in South Australia, we have bird flu. This big thing about bird flu, and I'm just like, bird flu, or we injected them with stuff and now they have bird flu. I don't really know. I've got a lot of lack of trust because of my research and what I've dealt with darkness. I know that there's no limits that they will go to, and yeah. Anyway, whatever's happening with that, we've got some birds, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it, I suppose. But at the end of the day, we've also got a rabbit, and she's never been vaccinated against calicivirus. So, just saying, and our other rabbit lived till Pepper was 11, I think, and he never got vaccinated either. So, yeah, see what happens. All right, well, hope you've enjoyed this one. Like I say, a bit different, but thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.